You say you're fine, but I can see right through. You're holding your secrets for way too long. This can't keep going on. With every lie, they keep on hurting you, getting away with everything they do. This can't keep going on. No, we're gonna find them, and I'm gonna fight for you. They better start hiding. We'll be running with the lions, lions. We'll be running with the lions, lions. They can't run, they can't hide. We won't stop until they're down. We'll be running with the lions, lions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gloves Off. Well, I'm your host, Dr. Kalpana Sundar, and I have been doing this show for a while, so I appreciate all of you who show up every week, and I always love the comments that I get on social media, YouTube, and whatnot. So I'm so appreciative because we have over 13,000 viewers now on the show. I started back in February, and for me, that's really exciting, and I'm so thrilled about it. Not to mention that I absolutely love doing this show every week. So for those of you who are new, Gloves Off is a show about people who show up authentically in the world. And again, I keep saying it sounds easy, but it's really not, because society has this way of conditioning us to conform. And it's easier to conform. It's hard to stand out. But every guest that I have on the show every week has done something to make themselves stand out. And it necessarily is not the most easiest road to go down. So that being said, the gloves are the metaphorical ego that we have to shed to really reveal our authenticity. So I am excited because I've had Wolfgang on the show several months back, probably when I first started the show. I met him on LinkedIn, and it was just such a fast, easy connection, to the point where when I actually had him on the show, I felt like I'd known him for forever. It was the weirdest thing. But during that show, Wolfgang had an amazing breakthrough about his mother. And then we've been keeping in touch because we've gotten to be friends, which is super cool. And I found out some more exciting things about him. But we are going to get into that just shortly. But I obviously want to thank and introduce our sponsor, Elevated CPA. So if you are a small business owner and you don't want to do your taxes, or you probably are missing things that you could be deducting and whatnot, or if you're worried that you're not even doing it right, it might be time to get an accountant. So you might want to consider Elevated CPA. All right, welcome back. So I'm excited because I believe I'm going to have Tammy, Doug, we've had on the show before, on the show, I believe it's in October or November, so that should be relatively soon, which I'm excited about diving into that conversation with Tammy. So let's get back to Wolfgang. So Wolfgang is a mentor for female entrepreneurs. And, for those of you who watched the last episode, it was a kind of funny story about how that came about, because he had been mentoring men and women, and then he was forced to discuss his, well, not forced, but he was asked to discuss qualities about his favorite clients, and then they were all women. So he obviously changed gears and decided to focus solely on female entrepreneurs, really helping them with positivity and resilience. And there's just a special niche for female entrepreneurs. So I love that he's focusing on female entrepreneurs and, well, some cool men. And this all came about because he had a digital creative agency that he sold, and then he was looking for his purpose. So I believe that the reason that Wolfgang and I connected so well was because we share some similar stories and some similar paths. But I am so excited to get into this episode because I can't wait to hear what he's been up to the past couple of months. And I hope you're excited too. So let's welcome Wolfgang. Well, good morning. And it's so exciting to have you here from Hamburg, Germany. And I want you to know that I purposely avoid saying your last name because I feel like I might get tongue-tied. So we'll introduce you properly. Wolfgang von Geramb. Is that right?
Perfect. If you would be in France, this would be the perfect French way of saying that. In Germany, say Wolfgang von Geramb.
Oh.
Or in English, maybe it's Wolfgang of Geramb. It's really interesting. It switched the language. So, but I think I love the French way, like you said it.
Probably because I speak French, so that's why I'm going to make it a French accent.
Yeah. I think it's we actually have relatives. Part of our family lives in France. So I think you just picked that up.
Okay, maybe. Because you have an interesting background. You live in Germany now, and then you also have some Italian roots, right? So
True. So that's first of all, thank you. So being here again with you, it's an honor. And I'm just I'm enjoying it so much. They're having these conversations with you. They always go so deep. Sometimes they go too deep for me, like last time. I'm not sure where we're heading this time. So they always yes, the gloves off, and also the consequences, they were quite impactful.
Well, I feel like it was in a positive way. I got some correspondence from you. So for those of you who may not have watched that last episode, Wolfgang and I were talking about how he grew up and about his mother. And, I'll let you fill in any details. But the basic gist was that, he was angry with his mother. And he wound up addressing that with her. So let me have you tell exactly what happened there.
Yes, and here it comes to my roots. I'm born in Italy, and my father's Austrian, and so Italian mother, born in Italy, living in Germany. And so I was really angry about my mother because she is this fantastic woman. She is an art historian, and she didn't write her the big books. She has one amazing thesis about Raphael, the painter, mid Renaissance years. His painting is in the Vatican, and she decoded this picture, and she decoded it all, but she never published the book. And because of after she published her first book, she got so much, let's say, ignorance. A lot of professors ignored her work because it was too provoking, and others were really bashing her and making her, and she felt I have something to give, but why do I give so much resistance? How much do, and so she stopped publishing. And so I really was so angry about it. Why doesn't she always stepped up for us kids. There's a lot of personal story. Watch the first episode. But there's a lot of things why she steps up for their kids, but why didn't she step up for herself?
Such a great topic. I mean,
oh my gosh. And you helped me to uncover that, and sharing this with her. And maybe also, is it really her topic or was it mine? So, and my mom, she's over 80 now. She cannot leave the house because she has a certain lung cancer, like she's COPD, so she's
Mhm.
bumped to the house, and we discussed how we will do it last time because she loves great food, tasting the word, and also this is also my love language about like spending quality time with people, tasting different things, and so I went to a really nice restaurant, ordered food out, and shared beautiful Lebanese food with her.
Oh, yum.
And yes, and I set the table, and my mom was like, why do you do all this? Like, this is really weird. Why do you like during the daytime lunch, preparing, setting the table at home? And I said, like, I think we have to have a really open and important conversation. So,
Oh.
and I think I have to tell you something. And so she's really got really excited about it, but also a little scared. I didn't know what. And then I shared her how much I appreciate her for having this courage to show her ideas to the world, and also afterwards to have the courage to decide what was more meaningful to her, peace,
Mm.
because she wanted to have peace. Peace was more important than fighting and sharing her knowledge.
Wow. That just landed so deeply for me. I'm like, wow, and it makes so much sense because on one end, I could see that you see your mother in such this great way. She took the steps to be courageous to write it and, give her opinions on things. So you like that part of her. But then there's also a lot of resistance when it comes to things like this. Whenever you're being a change maker or having a different perspective, there's always this resistance that shows up. Often it's external, it could also be internal. And I think it's beautiful that she was able to choose for herself what was the right thing for her in that moment. I mean, I don't know if it really gets any better than that, but I love that you said something to her. So how did she receive it when you said this?
She was really surprised, and then she loved that I shared this, how much I appreciate that for her. She felt seen.
Hmm.
She was really touched. Usually she talks a lot. She's Italian. And my mother.
With
Oh
her
my God. She
hands.
talks so much and so fast. She texts so fast. She never stops. And but this time she was really calm. And by sharing, also by talking to her about it, and that she really choose freedom, and I'm hearing her, I realized it was my ego. I needed to put my gloves off. And thanks to you, it was really need to put my gloves off because it was my ego that didn't allow her to rest, to have this peace. I was the disturbance because I said like always going like, why don't you publish it? Why is that? Like, I can get you a copywriter. You just have to talk. I will record a video. If you don't want to write, it doesn't matter. I kept bothering. So it was my story. I thought my mom was only great if she published this book. What the heck?
Mm.
I didn't accept it. So she could not rest. She could not have the freedom she wanted because she
Mm.
felt guilty when she saw me because she felt not enough in front of my eyes.
Oh,
I was not the one. I was the I was the perpetrator. I was the one.
wow. Wow. That, whew. I mean, that is huge to say something and uncover that big thing that was unspoken between you two for who knows how many years, 30,
Yeah.
40?
And then we watched the first show.
Oh, because she hadn't seen it, right?
No.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. And then we laughed so much and we hugged and gave a big kiss. And it really released so much tension between us. So
Oh,
God, really thank you for that. It was, and I thought the perpetrators were the professors, the world. I was it.
Wow.
My letting go and accepting her decision, this was the thing.
Wow.
And
And
I,
it's just so powerful just even thinking about this for me. And if I remember correctly, we got into this conversation maybe because I said something about my dad and how I told him something.
yeah,
Is that right?
yes,
Yeah, like I had
yeah,
to remember. But that's how we got into this. And oh, for all of you guys out there, I have to tell you that I got this beautiful photo of Wolf and his mom together on that day, and a voice memo from his mom. That was the best. I love that. She was so appreciative, and it's just it was such a moment for me. And for those of you who may not believe in miracles or divine intervention, I'm sorry, but I feel like you and I just randomly meeting on LinkedIn, just doing the show, leading to this moment with your mom based on an experience I had with my father, us becoming friends, even though we haven't even met in real life. Just, it is, I don't know, it just feels crazy, but amazing at the same time. So I get all emotional.
me too.
Yeah, so that's
Okay,
fabulous.
I that's a back like.
So, do you think that this moment with your mom prompted the trip to Italy that you took? Because I believe it was right after.
Yes. It opened another door. It opened this door to also to my roots. Interesting. My wife said the older we get, the closer we want to get to our roots.
Mm.
And
That is really true. I've been finding the same thing in me. So I agree with that.
so and now these roots, this was a little crazy. And so I felt like I want to get closer to my Italian roots. And the Italian roots are, I mean, I'm born in Rome. So obviously my Italian roots would have been Rome. But I've been so many times to Rome, so I thought like, I want to go somewhere else. And also I love mountains and where I want to be where the mountain kisses the water. And I got this idea, I want to go to Trieste. Trieste is a city close to Venice, northern Italy. It's close on the border of Slovenia. I've never been to this place, but it was calling me. And so I told my mother, why, I don't know, I want to go to Trieste for 1 month and just like explore my Italian side. And she said, Trieste? That's interesting. Why Trieste? Why did I don't know. I just have this feeling of there is something there, something I need to uncover to explore. When she smiled, like when your mom is smiling with this, I know more than you, but maybe I haven't told you. And I'm like, what is that?
I'm like at the edge of my seat here. I was like, oh God, I just can't wait to know.
So the story is, do you know how my parents met?
No.
Okay, my parents met on the second wedding of my father.
Wow.
They met on the second wedding of my father in Trieste. So that was their.
And you have no reason to know why you want to go there, but it
No,
just comes to you.
I didn't know this. It was Trieste. I didn't know.
That's so cool. Oh, I just love this. Okay, so
Okay. So quick story. So my father, okay, first meeting was something in university, didn't work out. So okay, so that's one. So basically, he lived in Austria. He got a stipendium in university. Was in university in Trieste, and he met Tony, this wonderful Italian, no, Triestian woman. So they left there, and their people in Trieste are really proud of their Triestian roots. So, and they fell in love, and and they got engaged, and they got married in Trieste. Big Triestian wedding, And the parents didn't like my father, I have to say. And so because he was Austrian and they wanted to have something different for her daughter. And so big wedding, and my father invited a friend of his. Funny, his name was Wolfgang. Okay, that's a different. So and then Wolfgang had no girlfriend, so he knew my mother. So he called my mother and said, Maria, do you want to come to this wedding in Trieste? And so we will have fun. So okay, so they both went to the wedding. So she met my father and Tony, and like all good, amazing wedding. They departed, and 6 weeks or 8 weeks later, my mother wrote a letter to my father, and they said, and she said like, oh, how is love, fresh love, wedding? How did it all go? Honeymoon. I just want to, and thank you for inviting me to this fantastic wedding. How are you doing? A letter came back. It came back. One word, bad. I'm doing really bad. My mother wrote back, what does it mean? Tony left me after 6 weeks.
Oh, yikes.
I didn't know why. My father told me 50 years later now, he told me that his parents, they moved to the US because he had his first job. The parents came to the US, visited both. They lived in a student home. They were shocked of the circumstances that a rich woman who owned a home and a palace in Trieste could live in a shared apartment. It was not her league. It was not the life that she was supposed to live. And they talked her out of it. So she left with them. She was 22. She left with them and they separated.
Wow. Okay.
Life of expectations. And so my mother and my father started writing letters.
It's just so cute to think about writing letters as opposed to like how quick our communication is these days, right?
Yes. And so they wrote letters. And 1 year later, my father picked up the phone and called her in Italy. My Italian grandmother picked up the phone. She didn't speak English. She just heard this weird accent, like okay, must be something. Ma chi calling? Ma chi è questo? Ma pronto? My father, I want to talk to Marisa. And Marisa, like, okay, like, say, va bene, Marisa. Marisa, vieni. Sei tedesco e austriaco. So, yeah. So my Norway was more lively. So, but my grandmother, I love her so much. So my mother came and was like, oh my gosh. So my father was calling her and he proposed.
He proposed on the phone call?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, okay, I have to laugh because these days nobody wants to make a commitment for any reason. I mean, even if you've like been dating for 10 years, there are men who don't want to make a commitment. And your father, after basically letters, proposes to your mother. I love that.
He had only one wish. No big Italian wedding.
Oh, that's cute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So she says, does she say yes over the phone call?
She said yes.
Wow. And then what did your grandmother say about this?
She said, you're a crazy woman. And my mother moved to the US. And so they stayed 3 years in Georgia, enjoyed the time there. And the happiness spilled all over and she got pregnant. She took the last plane home to Rome, and I was born on 14th of August.
Okay.
And then we moved to Germany.
Okay. Wow.
So that's why Trieste was a big thing.
That's huge. Okay, so did you know before you went? Did your mother spill the beans on this before you
Yeah,
went?
yeah, yeah. She
Okay.
found out. Then I talked to my father. Then I found the real story on why they really broke up because I didn't know why. I knew they broke up quickly, but I didn't know the real stories. And we're also more honestly speaking, like my father and me, we're also more open today. So it's like also like so I went there, and the funny thing, like so I spent a month exploring my Italian. I rented a flat there. Um, Together with a friend. So we were lived the Italian life. So we just worked remote, so this was all easy. And the funny thing, my father called me every second day about not that it's important, but do you think that can you look up if Tony still lives? Is he still there? He wanted to explore that route.
Wow. Hmm.
So there's like all these things connected. Like I couldn't find out. Like so like oh yeah so, but he was really curious about that one. So it's like really crazy what is all like all these stories. And yeah. So and then I lived for the full May 1 month in Italy.
That's amazing. So what kind of big discoveries about your family did you find?
About the family, actually, no, actually there was none. There was more like it was explored a little bit, but there was not real finding. I think I found more. I felt really connected to the roots of my story. This was the source of like of this was where it all started,
You
and I
know,
felt total peace.
that's
I felt
amazing.
peace. I felt peace being in this route, on this place.
There's this feeling that I get, and I'm just going to throw it out there because sometimes these
Yes.
things come to me and I just got to say
Yeah, yeah.
them. It's almost like there was some disconnect in your, I, I don't want to say lineage, it's not the right word, but something's just coming to me. It's like
I
there
would
was a,
say it's lineage. Yeah,
yeah,
I
like a,
think you're
okay, yeah,
completely
like a disconnect in your lineage that you didn't really understand how it all took shape and took form. And for whatever I think some people may not necessarily need to know that, but other people do. And especially if you're a deeply reflective human being, I feel like those answers give you some real foundational blocks to who you are.
yes. And this is always my life question: Who am I?
It's
So here,
everybody's life question. We want to know who we are as not only in this human existence, but who we are
yeah,
as a soul, right?
yes,
So it makes perfect sense to me that understanding how your parents got together and visiting Trieste was so important. And here's a side story on Trieste. It's Trieste. Is that how you said it in Italian? Or
in case it's yes,
Trieste? Trieste? Okay, I wasn't
yes.
sure if you said the E as an, I don't know. Well, anyway, I was a couple of months, like maybe a month or two ago, I decided I was actually supposed to be in Italy right now. So I
Mm.
had decided last month I wanted to go to Italy, but I decided not to go because I felt like I was running. You know, sometimes when I travel, I have to look at why I travel, and sometimes it's for the right reasons, sometimes it's for the wrong reasons. And I knew
Hmm.
I just wanted something, you know, like I was looking for a little high, so I wanted to go. And I thought, you know what, that means that maybe something's making me uncomfortable and I just want to take off. So I decided to stay because I didn't feel like the timing was really right. But anyway, I say this story because during that moment when I was going to Italy, I started taking Italian lessons and, you know, I stopped, but I really want to get back to it. And Trieste was a city that they talked about. So
Oh no way.
I would not have known about that city. I've never heard of it, but there were a lot of dialogue and conversations in Babbel, the app that I was using, about Trieste. So
Yes.
now you say this word, and I'm like, huh. Now the cities come up a few times. Maybe when I go to Italy, maybe I have to go visit there. Who knows, right? But I think it's really important that one knows their roots. And for me, I have a better understanding of my roots, I think, because I've gone to India and visited all this. I mean, it's been a while, but one thing that's been bugging me is I didn't know my birth time. Like,
Oh,
so in India, in my on my birth certificate, like we have the
there's no
date.
time. Yeah.
There's no time. It's not like it is in the US where you got a proper certificate. It's like a handwritten thing, you know, this 50 almost 55 years ago. It's like a little paper and no birth time. And I don't know why, but I feel like I want to know that. And because in India, there's a lot of Vedic astrology that they do, and
Yes.
it's different from the astrology in the West. And they really are able to identify a lot of like things from that astrology chart. So I don't know why all of a sudden it's becoming really crazy important.
And
Well,
how
so
did
I
you find out?
I asked one of my friends because so you would think that corporate business women would be not interested in this. So I have a friend of mine who's the CEO of a big company. I've actually interviewed her on this show as well. She listens a lot to to Vedic astrology because she notices there's a lot of synchronicities in timing and things like that. What maybe, if she's planning some big launch, she will like look at that to see if that's the right timing. Timing is important. We know this. We talk about divine timing and all that. So, because I don't know my birth time, I can't figure any of those things out. So, she led me to somebody that she knows that could help me determine the time. In the meanwhile, I was on the quest. My mother didn't remember when I was born. I asked her before she passed away. My father doesn't remember. I'm like, clearly, I was very important to them. She was like, really, people? I'm your firstborn and you don't remember the time. Anyway, finally, I tracked down an uncle who lives in London. He says, I remember it was around this time. He goes, because I remember that we all, like all of the cousins, he's actually a second cousin, I guess, because he's my mom's cousin. So he said, I remember that you were the first baby in a really long time and everybody loved your mom. Your dog wanted to chime in. They're so funny. So
Yes.
he says, I remember it's around this time. Well, the astrologer needed certain dates. I think this is fascinating for whatever reason. He needed
Yes.
dates of my grandparents when they passed, births of my children, any significant events. So he narrowed it down with all the stuff. He actually came up with the time that was very close to what my uncle said. So I
It's
now
so
finally,
cool.
yeah, I was like, now I finally have a birth chart. So I digress, but I think it's just relevant because I think each of us has something that we need to feel connected to our roots. For you, it was understanding what happened with your parents and going to Trieste. For me, it's my birth chart. For somebody else, it may be something else. But I think what the take home message I want to say is that when you get that calling, heed it, right? You did.
Yes, and you did too. So it's really this puzzle piece, this white spot. I feel like, and like you said, it is this work. I think it healed a lot,
Mm.
and I thought I wanted to move to Trieste. I'm not sure if I have to. I think it's a story. It's a beautiful place, and
Okay.
I love it really. It was a great time there, but I think it served this moment served and solved a lot. And so going to the street, so it is like it's sometimes, and maybe I go back, maybe not, I don't know, but it was this. Now it's fine. There was a wound which I didn't know there was.
Oh, those are the best ones when you uncover wounds that you didn't even know were
Mm,
there. That's
yeah.
great. That's
Oh
great.
my! Hold on one sec. I need to open the door. My dog is wants to get it.
He's like, please let me in. I want to be part of this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yes. Yeah. So
My dog knows when it's time for gloves off, and he like literally just knows his little spot and he lays under my feet. And
yes, that's so cute.
he just stays quiet somehow. I don't know. He knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's beautiful. So what and was there any feedback or any interesting things that you had discussion with your mom about this adventure to Trieste?
I think the discovery that was more for me with my mom. Actually, she was not to her. This chapter was
Oh,
closed
okay.
for her.
Okay. Makes
So for
sense.
my father, you could tell it wasn't because he asked about.
Mm.
But what I realized, and maybe it's also about the topic of um, growing by letting go, also like old stories and things. Um, when I did this trip, I had this feeling of I needed to move to Italy to um, also to find like an inner peace in the sense of
Hmm.
I wanted to go sit to a place where people, because Hamburg is a really vibrant city. It's a free city where a lot of people, everybody has projects. Everybody who talk about work. Everybody's like always busy. It's a really busy city. When you go to if you go to a to cafe or like a to a like cafe place like Thursday afternoon, you ask someone why they're sitting there. Oh, I'm having this really cool project. Good that you're asking me. Can I do an interview? They're all like so about like what, and you're like, no, can I not just go to Italy? And that's like in Italy, I will you go out and you meet someone a coffee or the thing is always aperitivo at 6 p.m. Everybody goes out and no one talks about work.
Right.
Everybody's just there. They talk. You don't see even cell phones on the table.
Right.
Everybody's really meeting with each other.
So
They're having
true.
in-depth conversation, and it's like every day. It's not about the drinking. They also drink non-alcoholic things. So it's really about spending the so 6 to 8 is the hanging out together time.
I love that. And this is what the Italians do so well. And in a lot of European countries too. Like I was just in Estonia and I noticed the same thing when I was there for that conference. The same thing. People were really connecting with each other, spending quality time together. And isn't there a
Yes.
saying in Italian that I learned from watching Eat, Pray, Love? What was it? Il dulce far
Yeah.
niente?
Yeah. I love that.
The sweetness of doing nothing. It is a beautiful thing, just relaxing, hanging out with people. And I think this is why I had told you I was thinking about moving to Italy. I mean, I thought it was maybe rash, but it's something that I really love about Italy and the Italians and just this
Yes.
connection that we lack, maybe obviously in Hamburg and honestly in the US.
Yes. And yeah. And so and I really loved this. And this was really like when I shared this flat with my roommate. This was the first thing we fight about. We had the first week we had a fight because I said like, and he said like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. We gotta do like aperitivo. And I said like, I have calls around until like 8 or 8:30. And he's like, huh? And tomorrow? Of course. I said like we are here in Italy, but we work remote. And he said like, and the day after? I said like every day. I was like, you're crazy. Like we're in Italy, we stop working at 6. It's aperitivo time. And I'm like, this is impossible. And then I thought about it. You know what? It's just a decision. I reworked my calendar, and after 3 days, we had off at 6 o'clock. I started a little bit earlier. I was more pragmatic through the day, and I loved it. Closing the computer at 6 p.m. Oh, going out to the city, go mountain biking, go to the seasides, go swimming, go whatever. Oh my
Ah,
gosh, we had
beautiful.
the best months. And I'm so thankful that he was stubborn enough. And this is something friends can tell you. They open your eyes and force you into good.
Yeah, it's so true because so many of us get caught up in this working nonstop, and I've already
Yeah.
done that. So I'm pretty good about that now. I'm really good about it, actually. I just block off time because I know that I need to enjoy my life. So interestingly, I think this kind of ties into your letting go, grow to let go. You mentioned it briefly. I
Yes.
want to
Yes.
really dive into that because I think there's so much to unpack in that one small phrase. So tell me what that means to you.
The grow by letting go is there is this wish to reach a certain new point, to reach a new something which you're craving for, and
Mm,
you're trying so hard, and you're always there is this threshold you cannot cross. It's just like oh, and it can be in business. You know what? Oh, I wish I get more clients. I have. If I don't, I tried in sales everything, but it's not work. Why is this LinkedIn stuff not performing like I want? Why is it not throwing out clients if I talk to many people? Or why I want to help more people, but I feel this limitation, or I cannot. Why can I not grow in my relationship? Why don't you? So there's something there. If like the glass ceiling, we can say like glass off or glass off. The glass ceiling's off. So there is like why don't I break through? And And I felt, for example, when I take the story of Italy, I thought like my life, I couldn't, my life in Hamburg was all about work. And I saw that, and I thought like, oh my gosh, people in Italy, they're so different. They are talking about life. They don't work after 6. You know what happened when I came back? I shared my learnings to my friends. My friends is that we meet every month since 24 years. It's like a circle of friends. It's called in German a Stammtisch. It's a really traditional thing in Germany. Guys meeting every like certain rhythm. So, and I told them, Italy was so great, and people don't talk about work after 6, and so this was so refreshing, and I want to move there. And he said, my friend Frank said, Wolfgang, we're meeting every first Monday every month. The only person who always talks about work is you. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
The only person who always talks about work is you. We
Oh
don't talk about work. We have a life. It hit me so hard. It hit me so hard. I was so shocked.
Oh my God.
And I said, like, grow by letting go. I felt like, yes, I need to let go my work ego after 6. Finally, we have great conversation. I have aperitivo every evening in Hamburg. I go swimming. I go sailing. I go biking. I have drinks with friends. I started painting after 6. I got a life back.
Whew.
But I thought I need to change, move. I need to leave the city. That I need to let go of the belief. I need to let go my friends. I need to let go my city. I need to like to grow. No, yeah, I needed to like grow to let go, but it was me. I'm like shit. Sorry.
That is that is so powerful. And you know what's even crazy? The parallel between what you're saying and what something I just went through.
Please share.
Okay, so interestingly, part of the reason I wanted to go to Italy was exactly that, because I felt like the people here, all they did was work and all they want to do is talk about work and blah, blah, blah. But you know what I was missing is that I could find the same thing here. And so I thought instead of escaping to Italy, looking for it somewhere else, let me see if I cannot find it here first. Because, there's something to be said for running all over chasing crap. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to be doing that. And so that knee jerk reaction to go to Italy and find what I wanted felt like the easier thing to do. And then I forced myself to stay in the discomfort of what I was feeling and prove to myself that I couldn't find it here. And if I couldn't, of course, Italy's still there. I can always go look for it there. So do you know what, in this time, I probably made the decision not to go about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago. I don't remember. But in that time, can you believe I've actually found that here within me? And then I had to find it within me first. And then I was able to attract it from other people. So now the people I'm hanging out with are not talking about work. So what I thought I had to go to Italy to find existed right here with a shift in me, which is the same thing that you're saying.
That's so true. Isn't that it's so crazy? We talked about this multiple times that we sometimes have synchronous shifts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what. There is something about our friendship where we met.
Oh, 100%. And you and I were even communicating while I was in Estonia, while we were in the same time zone.
Yeah. That's so.
It just feels so comfortable and wonderful. So, I have to say that I'm not 100% sure that I'm not supposed to be in Italy, but you don't want it to be for the reason of you're searching, you're dissatisfied, you're looking for a fix, because escapism can be found in so many ways. And I feel like this is a really good point, because I've learned this about myself. Some people obviously do very harmful things, as a form of escapism. they're drinking, they're doing drugs, they're doing things that clearly are harmful, right?
Yeah.
But then there's another form of escapism that some of us are really sharp, like we're really clever, and we know how to disguise this escapism in a different way so it looks healthy. So for me, it's travel. For sometimes for me, it could be excessive working out too. So I recognize that could be a problem. Other times people can overcommit to charity things,
Oh
overcommit to
yeah.
their family, be excessive
It's so true.
caregivers.
It's so true.
Escapism has many forms, and the clever ones of us, we disguise it really cleverly to make it look healthy when you won't know the difference between healthy and unhealthy till you go inside and investigate
Oh my
the
gosh.
reason.
Okay, this is the best description of grow by letting go of your escapism, because these escapes, they are serving, of course. I mean, if I do a lot for charity, everybody will say, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the gap it fills? And once it filled, you could still do charity work. But the question is like the glass of wine. What does it numbing? So it's a great working out. Everybody will say wise choice, but what is it like holding us away, holding us from? So it is about keep doing it like in a like what is it? Is it like a replacement, or is it what it's good for you? So go by letting go in that sense. I think it's a great is the great escape of letting go of your escape and find out what it's serving you, and then do it purposefully and joyful, but without this, yeah, this
Well,
neediness.
and you were even saying like you have like people go through these points in their life where they're, the things that they want aren't happening. They're not happening in the time frame we'd want. We want better this, we want more that. And I kind of went through that phase too. And I think that was part of my discomfort and my desire to escape and go to Italy. And then I just realized that my lesson in this is to be comfortable in the discomfort of everything that I want isn't here yet.
Yes.
And
Mm.
that's been really hard for me. I just want to say that was a really hard thing because I didn't know how to get to a place of non-attachment without letting go of the dreams and the desires that I had. And I don't know, I struggled with this probably really for the past 2 months, I'll be honest. I kept going back and forth, like feeling like, how can I be happy in the now, but still be hopeful for my desires for the future? So I feel like that's another representation of grow by letting go. Because
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't know that I'm 100% there, but I think I've really figured out how to release the attachment and still be hopeful. And so
Yeah.
it's hard. I'm just going to say
That's
it's really
hard.
hard.
Yeah, and it's really the acceptance in it to come to calm. Because grow by letting go is also quite an ambitious, right? No, so it's like an ambitious sentence. So, and and also like we need to be like being gentle to ourselves.
Mhm.
There is a need and that wants to be heard. And so it just found a certain way of filling this. And and that's why, let's say, doing a lot of exercise is also a good thing, but there's a need. And the question is, maybe it also leads to something good. It's not necessary. Maybe I feel lonely, that's why I do a lot of sport, but through that I meet people I like to meet.
Right.
And so with that one, I'm going back out, going back to, so I wouldn't be so hard. I think like it's more, as long there's energy, there's flow,
Mhm.
and and it's good. And the realization helps more about, okay, do I really want to become a pro athlete, or is it more, you know what, it's a way, my way to reconnect with life, with people, going out, feel good, and finding people who have the same interests.
Right. Yeah, it's
Fine.
huge.
It's all fine, right? It's not that hard. Like, why don't we make it so hard on us?
Right, right. And it's not that hard. I think we just have to be clear about what we're trying to attract. And, I still am thinking in my head about how funny it is that you just went to your friends and said this, and they're like, you're the only one that talks about work. I think that's great. So you literally got, like you're just finding these things about yourself that maybe you don't necessarily want to hear, but they keep finding you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I thought I found the key, and then you hear you feel the truth from your friends.
yeah,
They
I
are
love it.
really great. So
I love
I
it. So
encourage. Yeah.
what does your wife think about all this? I'm actually curious to know because it sounds like you went to Italy and came back kind of a different person.
She really enjoyed the time off. She really said like it was to her an amazing time for herself. She
Yeah.
said we're married 26 years,
Mhm.
and she said, "Oh my gosh, it was. Can you please do it next year again?"
But that's healthy. It's really
It
healthy,
has to.
especially when
It
you've been
really
married a
has to.
long time. Yeah.
She had also a breakthrough finding out like what she likes. And it is appreciation the time together, and we missed each other, which is also great. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of little discoveries and giving others the space. I thought I was so thankful she gave me the space, but then
Mhm.
she said, "No, no, no. It was not that. It was not about altruism. I gave myself the space."
It's so needed. It's so needed because I have to say that, that's something I didn't realize that when you're married, you really do need space. I mean, I grew up thinking that each, couples needed to be codependent and like never leave each other's side to be in a good relationship. And now I see it so differently.
Yeah,
So,
and I never thought that way. So we need the space. We enjoy more the time together,
mhm.
and yeah. So everybody had their space to come down, relax, find themselves a new way, repuzzle themselves, and it was good. It
I love
was,
it.
yeah.
I love it. Well, as always, these episodes go by so fast with you. I do want to take a few minutes before we are out of time here to really talk about your business. I have your website down below for our guests to look at. Just, we talked more about this in our first episode, but I do
Yeah.
want you to say to the audience, like what you do and a little blurb about your company and all that.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. So the company is called the Second Mountain, and it's really all about the second life phase, because the first phase is where we do everything that we've been expected about, and the second life phase, like we have the opportunity to grow by letting go what the others expect of us, isn't it? And I'm really curious and to help people in this journey, because sometimes I was really alone on this journey to find my second mountain, to discover that, and I wish there was a Sherpa that helped me on this climb. And um and I want to be the Sherpa. I think this is I think what people always call me. You're Wolfgang. You're my Sherpa to my second mountain, and it's your journey. It's not mine. It's your journey. But I walked the path so I can be a great companion to co-create and support you in your future
I love
path.
it. I love that. And then just tell us a little blurb about what you like about working with female entrepreneurs.
Oh my gosh, this is so, because everything's so easy. It's so much about joy, intuition, creativity, positivity. Um, it's so much lighter. And the good thing about bringing the male and female energy together, I must say, that's also fun. A lot of businesswomen, they're so strong in their male energy, so I can be more female.
Mm,
It's a little bit like I can be the crazy one, the playful one, and with that, I can allow a space where we can both be more playful.
yes.
And so with that one, things are evening out. Even they're more and lighter. And when especially women in business rediscover their like more fluid side, things get lighter, and because that's the unfair advantage of women. They are naturally more intuitive, more fluid, now like more creative.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have also the male side, the achiever, getting things done, the breakthrough and all this. How do we balance them both? And have, to me, I only look for two things. My highest value is joy. For that, how can we build a more fulfilling business career and how can we live privately and work-wise more fulfilled and bring the joy back to business? And that all is good.
That's so beautiful because we underrate joy in our lives
Yes,
on a regular basis, and joy needs to take the main stage again. And we can have it all. You can
I love
have
it.
joy.
Joy needs to take the main stage again. I would
Yes.
quote you on that
Ooh,
if
I
I
think
can.
okay. Yes,
That
please do. I
this
like
is,
that.
I think that's the key.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, if you are joyful, how do you shine for the people around you?
Right.
Who-
So different.
So different. And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about happiness. Joy comes from such a deeper, more profound feeling. It's
Mm-hmm.
not this every day. It's like the
Yeah.
joy. It's a connected to yourself, knowing what you're doing, knowing why you do it, and also understanding when enough is enough,
Mm.
and what is your next mountain? What is your real? What are you really aiming for?
Yeah.
And you become the role model to the next generation.
I love it. I think that's right there the perfect ending, the role model for the next generation. Well, I have to say it's always a pleasure to have you here. I love this, sequel to your story that we originally brought forth a couple of months ago, and I'm so grateful to know you. On another note, Wolfgang and I have talked about being up to some stuff together. I'm not ready to reveal it
Mhm.
yet, but when we're ready, we'll have you back on the show when I'm ready to move forward with all that.
Thank
We're
you
always
so
always
much.
concocting something, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well,
Thank
you
you
have
so much. You
yes,
touched
thank
again.
you. It was so great to see you again. Hello and hugs to your mother. And,
I
like
will
I
do.
said, when we're ready to announce all the next stages, we'll have you back on the show so we can discuss it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed having Wolf back on this on Gloves Off with us, because it was so fun for me to dive into that story the first time, and I think even more fun the second time around. So next week I have a guest. Her name is Martha. I think I'm going to say her name wrong. It's Kartikui. I think I have to figure out how to say that name. I need to say it 20 times. I had it and now it's difficult. But she has such an interesting story. She was actually in a cult while she was growing up. And I read her book, she sent it to me, and it's such an amazing story about, the kind of abuse she dealt with and the hard, difficult times. And her family was very involved in this cult. So finally, she had the courage to break free. She's living clearly a whole different life as a result of what she experienced. And she is, of course, taking her pain, putting it into something positive and alchemizing that so that she could do something positive and amazing for other people. So I just love bringing these stories to the forefront. And I, again, thank you for joining us tonight on Gloves Off. And thanks to obviously Wolf for joining us from Germany. I love having international guests, and there are more to come. So all of you have a fabulous evening, and then we will see you next week for another episode of Gloves Off.